The paramedic said my name 3 times before I responded. I remember staring at the ceiling of the ambulance, thinking the lights were very bright, and that I needed to text my brother to say I wasn't going to make it to Sunday dinner. That was the clearest thought I had. Not, I might be seriously hurt. Not someone call my family, just, don't forget to text my brother. I'm 28 years old. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm a UX designer at a software company called Altimetrics, which means I spend my days making sure apps are easy enough for humans to use without throwing their phones across the room. I'm good at my job. I make decent money. Or I used to make decent money. Before I learned the difference between earning a paycheck and keeping one. The accident happened on a Thursday in February. A pickup truck ran a red light on South Congress and T-boned my car on the driver's side. The police report would later confirm it wasn't my fault. At the time, all I knew was that something had hit me very hard, and then I was sideways, and then I couldn't figure out which way was up. Broken collarbone, moderate concussion, 3 cracked ribs. The doctors admitted me for observation for 72 hours. Before they took me back for imaging, a nurse with a clipboard asked me who to call. My father, I said. My mother. My brother. I gave her 3 numbers, gave my brother's twice, because I wasn't thinking clearly and forgot I'd already said it. We'll reach out, she said. I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, it was the following morning. The room was pale yellow with a window that looked out onto an overcast Texas sky. The gray, undecided kind February makes in Austin. A machine beeped beside my bed. My left arm was in a sling. My ribs ached when I breathed too deeply, so I breathed carefully. I waited. I was certain they were in the waiting room. My mother, probably pacing. My father, irritated about parking. My brother on his phone, but physically there, because that's what family does. You show up. A different nurse came in to check my vitals. Where's my family? I asked. Did they come? She had the kind of face that nurses must practice. The one that gives nothing away while somehow conveying everything. We made several calls, she said carefully. We left messages. Not yet, honey. Not yet. I told myself that was fine. My father's back had been bad. My mother didn't like driving on highways. My brother had a toddler. There were reasonable explanations. I was very good at constructing reasonable explanations for my family. My phone was in a plastic bag in the drawer beside my bed. The screen cracked from the impact, but still working. I charged it and waited. When it turned on, I sat holding it in my good hand and breathed shallowly. 0 missed calls, 0 texts, nothing, for 27 hours. I opened Facebook out of pure muscle memory. I'm not even active on it much anymore. I use it mainly for local Austin neighborhood groups and because my mother posts her Etsy listings there and expects engagement. The first post in my feed was from my brother. A photo. My mother, my father, my brother and his wife, their little boy crowded around the dining table in my brother's apartment. Monopoly boards spread open. Takeout containers from the Thai place they love. Everyone smiling, my nephew holding up a green Monopoly house with both fists. My father in new shoes. My mother in the gray pullover I'd seen in her Etsy cart 3 weeks earlier. The one she'd asked me to order early because there was a sale. Even though her birthday wasn't for 2 more months. She was wearing it in the photo. The caption read, "Much new family time. Good vibes only." I looked at the timestamp. He'd posted it 6 hours after my accident. I set my phone face down on the tray table. The heart monitor showed my pulse had climbed. I breathed carefully because of the ribs. Then I picked the phone up and looked at the photo again. My brother's apartment in the background, the kitchen I'd seen 100 times, the apartment where the rent is $2,400 a month and his wife covers her half, and my Venmo has been covering his for 4 years. My father's new shoes, New Balance. He'd sent me a screenshot in January. These would really help my back when I do yard work. The yard work he performed approximately twice a year. My mother's sweater, my money. The Thai food, I couldn't confirm, but I had a feeling. Good vibes only. I was the drama, and the drama was in a hospital bed across town, alone, watching the likes climb. But before I tell you what happened next, if this story is hitting you somewhere familiar, like and subscribe. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. You'd be surprised how many of us are out here. I need to back up so you understand how we got here. My name is Blair Kowalski. I grew up in San Marcos, Texas. My father was an electrician for 22 years until he hurt his back on a job site 4 years ago. He had surgery. He was on disability, and then he healed, mostly, as much as these things heal. And he didn't go back to work. The physical demands were too much, he said. Nobody would hire a man his age with a documented injury, he said. The economy was impossible. What he actually did was watch sports, place bets on those same sports, and tell anyone who would listen that the system had failed him. He wasn't entirely wrong. He was just very committed to not making things easier for himself. He managed this by letting me make things easier for him instead. My mother ran what she called a business. She sold handmade crafts on Etsy, painted wooden signs mostly. Farmhouse-style stuff, live, laugh, love variations, that whole aesthetic. She'd been running this business for 6 years. In 6 years, she'd made maybe $300 in actual revenue. She reinvested everything into supplies, she said. Better paint, better wood blanks, a new Cricut cutting machine, a lighting setup for product photos. Every few months, there was something new she needed to make the business finally work. I paid for most of it. It wasn't a business. It was an expensive hobby with a storefront no one visited, and I was the silent investor who never saw returns. My brother was 32. He was between things. He had been between things for most of his adult life. Real estate, didn't finish the licensing course. Day trading, lost over $3,000 in 6 weeks, and MLMs him selling workout supplements that I had begged him not to join. He had a kind wife who worked as a dental hygienist and seemed quietly exhausted in a way I recognized. They had a 2-year-old boy who was the most genuinely delightful child I had ever met and had nothing to do with any of this. His rent was $2,400 a month. His wife covered her half. My Venmo covered his. Then there were what I called the extras. Car insurance when my parents' policy lapsed. Propane for my father's grill because grilling was, and I quote, the only thing keeping him sane. $600 for a dental crown my mother's insurance didn't cover. $400 for my nephew's birthday party, because my brother wanted to give him a real celebration. Cash. I pressed into my sister-in-law's hand at Thanksgiving, because I could see in her eyes that they were behind on the electric bill and she was too proud to ask. I kept a spreadsheet. I started it not because I'm organized, but because I was trying to understand where my money was going. The first time I ran the 6-year total, I sat at my desk and did not move for a long time. $89,000 in 6 years. I had student loans still. I had rent. I ate at my desk most nights. Not because I was a workaholic, but because a real dinner out felt like something I couldn't justify when I knew my brother's landlord was already texting him. I had a retirement account I'd barely touched. Every month, the first thing I did after payday was calculate who needed what. I paid myself last. Usually there wasn't much of me left. I looked at that number, $89,000, and I closed the spreadsheet. I didn't tell anyone. What would I say? It felt like my fault. I had said yes every single time. The one person who had been trying to say something for years was my uncle. He's my father's older brother, lives in Billings, Montana. They haven't been close since I was a teenager, for reasons I only fully understand now. My uncle called me every few months, asked about my work and my life. Not about money, never about whether I was helping the family. He knew, he just never pushed. 2 years ago, at a cousin's wedding in Denver, he found me at the bar during the reception. I was on my phone, calculating whether I could cover my brother's share of the hotel block. "You look like you're doing math," my uncle said. "I'm always doing math." He got a Coke and leaned against the bar next to me. "You know what I figured out late in life? Some people treat family like a utility, water, electricity, gas. You pay because you have to. You don't think about it. It just runs." I laughed, uncomfortable. I don't mind helping. He looked at me the way older people look at you when they know something you haven't arrived at yet. "I know you don't," he said. "That's the problem." I walked away. I didn't want to hear it. I went back to the table and covered my brother's hotel costs and danced at the reception and drove home 2 days later and went back to work. That was the last conversation we'd had before the hospital. On the morning of day 3, I woke up to my phone vibrating off the tray table. 47 missed calls, all from the past 3 hours. For approximately 4 seconds, something that felt like relief flooded through me. Complete, physical, enormous. They found out. They're panicking. They're on their way. Then I looked at the texts. From my brother, "Hey, the Venmo didn't come through. You okay?" "You okay" is a secondary clause, an afterthought attached to the money. From my mother, "Blair, honey, the electric bill is due and I don't see the transfer. Call me." From my father, 3 missed calls, and a voicemail I pressed delete on without listening, because I already knew. It was the 1st of March. The automatic transfers had been scheduled, but my bank had flagged the account for unusual activity, no transactions for 3 days, then pending hospital charges from an unfamiliar location. The payments were on hold pending verification. They weren't calling because I was in a hospital bed. They were calling because the tap had turned off. I sat with the thin blanket pulled up and I did something I had never done as an adult. I pressed decline. My brother's next call, decline. My mother, decline. My father's 4th attempt, decline. My hands were shaking. The collarbone ached. I breathed carefully. Then I scrolled my contacts until I found my uncle's number. It was just past 6 in the morning in Montana. I called anyway. He picked up on the 2nd ring. Blair, not a question. Just my name, like he already knew something was arriving. I'm in the hospital, I said. I've been here for 3 days. The silence on his end was very short. What hospital? St. David's, South Austin. I'm getting in my truck. You don't have to. Billings to Austin is about 22 hours, he said. I'll be there tomorrow morning. Don't call your father back. He hung up. He arrived the next morning looking like he'd driven 22 hours because he had. Flannel shirt, work boots, the smell of coffee and road and Montana cold. He was 61 and he looked solid in a way most people don't manage anymore, like someone who had earned his posture. He sat in the chair beside my bed and looked at me without saying "you poor thing" or "I can't believe this happened." He said, "Did they come?" No. Nodded like this was confirmation of something he'd been holding for years. I need to see your phone, he said. He looked at the Facebook post. Read the caption. Read my brother's texts. Listen to my father's voicemail on speaker. Nothing about where I was or whether I was breathing. Just the transfer and when it might clear. He set the phone down carefully. He rubbed the side of his face. I need your laptop, he said, and your bank password. I almost said it's not as bad as it looks. 6 years ago I definitely would have. Instead I told him the password. He sat with my laptop for 2 hours. He didn't speak. I dozed, the machine beeped. Austin traffic moved outside the window, indifferent as always. When he closed the laptop, the silence lasted a moment. $89,000, he said, 6 years. I know. Your brother has received just over $42,000. Your parents combined $41,000. The rest is miscellaneous. I know. Your savings account has $2,100. Your checking account has $31,000. You have $18,000 left on your student loans. Your 401 is barely touched past auto-enrollment. I know, my voice was flat, not from toughness. The numbers were so familiar I could have recited them myself. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Blair, you were in a car accident. You were in this hospital for 3 days. Not one person in your family called to ask if you were still breathing. They called about the money. That is not the same thing. No, I said, it's not. He was quiet a moment. Then, your father and I grew up in the same house. I know exactly what he's capable of. I know how your mother operates. I got out of their orbit 20 years ago because I could see what staying would cost. He paused. I watched them do this to your grandmother before she died. She gave until she had nothing, and they called it love. Something in my chest shifted that wasn't the broken ribs. I thought if I helped enough, I said, they would finally see it. They saw it, he said. They just decided it meant to keep going. He pulled his chair closer. Here's what we're going to do. The next morning I canceled everything. Every automatic transfer, every scheduled Venmo payment, every saved recipient. I went through them one by one with my uncle beside me, and I deleted them the way you cancel a subscription you forgot you were paying for. My brother's rent, my parents' utility helper, the Etsy supply fund, the car insurance, the birthday party budget. Line by line, 6 years of the machine erased. My hands shook, not from fear, from something I didn't have a name for yet, something between grief and fury and something cleaner than both. Then I turned my phone volume up and put it on the tray table between us. You have to hear it, my uncle said, so you know you did the right thing. My brother called first. He skipped concern entirely and went straight to the landlord had texted, and the first was already passed. In the background, my nephew was babbling about something, happy and oblivious, and for a second the sound of that little voice made me want to fold completely. "I'm not paying your rent anymore," I said. "I'm not paying it this month or any month after." He told me I was selfish. He told me I'd always been the lucky one, the one with no kids and a good job. Like I'd built that by accident rather than by working 70-hour weeks alone. He said things I won't repeat here. I let him say them. Then, I said, "I hope you figure it out." And I ended the call. My mother was next. My mother is very skilled at crying, and she deployed it immediately. She said she'd been beside herself with worry. She said the hospital must have had the wrong number. She said they hadn't known how serious it was. "Mom," I said, "I saw the Facebook post, the Monopoly game, the Thai food, the timestamp." A long pause. Then the other voice, the colder one, the one I'd heard at least 100 times growing up. The voice that deployed after everything I've done for you, and your father's blood pressure cannot handle this, and is this the daughter I raised? I let her finish. "I love you, Mom," I said. "I'm not sending money." I hung up. My father to text, 3 words. "You'll regret this." I looked at those words for a while, then I put my phone in the drawer. They didn't stop. I was discharged 2 days later. My uncle drove me to an extended stay hotel he'd booked. He said I needed somewhere quiet, and he was right. While I rested, my brother went to work on a different front. He didn't post anything directly about me. He was smarter than that. He posted a series of vague, concerned-sounding updates. Going through something hard as a family right now, holding on to faith. Then, sometimes the people you love most make choices you don't understand. You just keep your heart open. Then he reached out to a mutual friend from high school, someone connected to both of us, and told her I was, quote, not doing well mentally since the accident, and the family was worried about my judgment. That's when my coworker Tanya got involved. Tanya had been 2 cars behind me the night of the accident. She'd seen the whole thing, called 911, held my hand in the ambulance until they made her stay behind. She had visited me twice in the hospital. She had also, because Tanya is the kind of person who does this, taken a screenshot of my brother's Monopoly photo the morning she saw it, before he could think to delete it. When the not doing well mentally rumor reached her, she posted in the main Austin neighborhood Facebook group where my brother's original post had gotten traction. Side by side, his smiling family photo with the timestamp on the left. On the right, a text she'd sent her husband the night of my accident. Blair's family still hasn't shown up. It's been 4 hours. Timestamped, with the ER waiting room visible in the background. 3 sentences below it. This is my coworker Blair. Her family was called the night of her accident and never came. She does not have a mental health crisis. She has a family who went to dinner instead. I didn't see it happen in real time. I was asleep. My uncle woke me at 9 that evening and said quietly, "You might want to turn your phone on." By morning, my brother's original post had over 800 comments. Almost none of them were kind. People started pulling his other posts, so grateful for my support system. From 2 years ago, the week I started covering it. Hard work pays off, posted the week after I'd wired him $500 for a business registration fee that never materialized. Family first. He'd posted that one from the living room of the apartment I funded. His wife texted me privately. She said she was sorry. She said she hadn't known the full scope of it. I believed her. I didn't respond yet, but I believed her. He deleted his Facebook within 48 hours. Too late. I thought that was the end. Then 3 weeks later, a certified letter arrived, and I had to sign for it. My parents had filed a petition through a family law attorney in San Marcos. They alleged my uncle was exercising undue influence over me following my accident, that I was in a vulnerable state and not making sound financial decisions. They were requesting a guardian ad litem be appointed to review my accounts. They wanted legal access to my money. I called my uncle. After a brief silence, he said, "I was hoping they wouldn't go this route, but I brought paperwork for this too." While I was recovering, he had contacted an estate attorney in Austin. She'd come to the hotel on day 2 of my discharge. I had signed documents I assumed were standard medical authorization forms. They were that, and more. With my signed and notarized consent, they had established a durable power of attorney naming my uncle as my financial and healthcare agent. And they had created a revocable living trust into which, with my blessing and the attorney's guidance, my remaining assets had been transferred. My 401(k), my car title, what little savings I had. Our attorney filed the response in 4 days. Power of attorney, predating their petition. Trust documentation, predating their petition. A letter from my orthopedic surgeon confirming I had sustained physical injuries consistent with a car accident and showed 0 signs of cognitive impairment. And the phone records, 47 calls, all clustered on the morning of March 1st, all made within hours of the transfer window closing. The petition was dismissed before it reached a hearing. The judge used the word vindictive in his written ruling. My brother made one final move. He posted a video, just him on camera, voice cracking, saying I was being manipulated, that my uncle had isolated me, that the family only wanted to help. His comment section was a graveyard. His remaining followers were done with him. He deleted the account entirely by the following afternoon. Then the calls stopped. The texts stopped. The certified letters stopped. The silence was enormous. My uncle drove back to Montana 10 days after arriving. Before he left, we sat in the hotel parking lot with the windows down, the Texas air finally warming into something that felt like spring coming. "What do I do now?" I asked. "Whatever you want," he said. "For the first time in a while, whatever you want." I watched a grackle strut across the asphalt, like it owned every square foot of it. "I'm thinking about going remote," I said. "My company allows it. I've just never asked." He looked at me. "Montana's got good internet now," he said. I laughed, a real laugh which surprised me a little. I put in the remote work request the following Monday. It was approved by Wednesday. I gave notice on my Austin apartment, packed 2 suitcases and my cat, and drove north in late April with the windows down and an audiobook I kept pausing because I wanted to hear the silence between songs. I stopped in Amarillo overnight, continued through New Mexico, watched the mountains grow larger and more real through the windshield, until I pulled off the highway just to stand next to my car and look at them properly for a few minutes. I live in Bozeman now, small apartment near the university, a pine-covered hill visible from my kitchen window. I work from the dining table. I make real coffee in the mornings and sit with it while my cat arranges himself in a patch of sun on the floor, and the only sounds are birds and the occasional car. My paycheck deposits every 2 weeks. All of it stays. No automatic transfers, no first-of-the-month calculations, no one waiting at the other end of a Venmo notification. The first month I watched the balance just sit there and grow, and I genuinely did not know what to do with that feeling. It was so unfamiliar I almost called someone to fix it. I have a proper retirement contribution now. I'm paying down my student loans aggressively. I joined a hiking group. Last month we did 8 miles on a trail with a 1,000-foot elevation gain, and I was sore for 3 days, and it was the most satisfied kind of sore I've ever experienced. My sister-in-law messages me occasionally. Photos of my nephew, little updates, a birthday card she sent for mine without being asked. I write back. I send him cards on his birthday with $20 inside, enough to be his aunt, not enough to be their utility. My parents have not apologized. I don't expect them to. I've stopped waiting for it. My uncle comes down from Billings once a month or so. We hike or cook or sit on the porch and don't say much. Last time he looked out at the mountains for a while and said, "You know what you did? You audited the account. Ran the numbers. Turned out it was all outflow, no returns. You closed it." I told him that was a cold way to put it. He shrugged. "Cold things are clear," he said. "You can see right through them." I still have the cracked phone screen from the accident. I keep meaning to get it fixed. I don't. Because some mornings I pick it up and I remember that ceiling, the ambulance lights, very bright, and the thought that I needed to text my brother. What I know now that I didn't know then, my brother didn't need a text. He needed a transfer. The 2 things were never the same. I was just the last one to learn that. I wake up early now. I make the coffee. I watch the light come up over the hill. My cat settles into his patch of sun and does nothing, serene in the way that only cats can be. No one is calling. No one needs anything from me today. That silence used to feel like failure, like proof I wasn't giving enough, being enough, doing enough. Now I know what it actually is. It's what's left when you stop bleeding out for people who never once asked if you were okay. It's mine, all of it is mine, and I intend to keep it.